Oh man, did we need this episode just... Finally, we're getting good episodes back to back. Not to say that the other episodes haven't been, completely bad, but I seriously was considering not watching this season weekly and instead just waiting for all the episodes for the finale to come out and then just binge watching it because I think that's what I should have done for the first half of the season. I might have enjoyed it better, seeing it as a continuous story rather than as a chapter at a time. But now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, this episode was just great. We got good thoughts from everybody. We finally got to see cross-talk in terms of what's going on, and everyone out there seems to be confused because they're like, too many people getting widow's edits. Well, I never really thought anyone was getting a widow's edit, just it was either the good strategic players or the really colorful players. That was pretty much it, yeah. Okay, so, everyone comes back after blindsiding Jeremy. Nothing to really talk with the dynamics there, but I'm really glad that I watched the preview for this episode because it revealed that there was actually a third of Hidden Immunity Idol still in the game because they're at Koi Opa. So the idol clue that Baylor and Natalie got applied to an actual idol, so that mystery was finally solved, but I had actually forgotten all about it. And before anyone asks, no, this isn't like Caramon where an idol isn't supposed to be there, because it's pretty much been revealed that they had already hid this idol. It just took people forever to find it and put another one on Exile Island. Well, production has done that in the past with Survivor seasons, either having them on Exile or having them at camps, but having Exile Island in the game. This is just the first time they've done both those things. So, yeah, this isn't a case of putting in an idol that shouldn't be there. Trust me, it's not. So that reward challenge, I'm glad how they took the bit that they did from Kagayan, but twisted it a little bit, because now it doesn't feel as official when you go on the reward. You get to do a lot more interaction, but have it just be, for fun, for baseball and that kind of thing, because I'm a casual baseball fan myself. I don't really pay attention to it, but the history of baseball, now that is interesting. But I just think that it was a lot better what they did with this season, and if I was there, would I go on the reward? I think this time I wouldn't complain about it, but I'd still be kind of iffy with, like, the social kind of thing, especially since I don't think a lot of those kids or adults speak English, even though I'm sure there's some, because the kids obviously knew they were coming. And I also love how on the reward that we got insight into John and Jacqueline's personal lives, because that monologue, though, basically revealed that they don't think of each other as, I kind of hate to compare them, but to, like, Cat and Hayden from the first Brothers Water, where they were kind of looking at the relationship as it was, like, going on, just like, let's enjoy what we have now and just think about it, But what John and Jacqueline have is that they're also thinking about the long term and had even thought about, the kid route, and it was very touching to hear John mention that Jacqueline can't have kids, but he himself wants to have a kid, even though there's tons of other options out there, and yeah, he's right, there's tons, so yeah, I like that. This episode did reveal, as the first episode reveals, that John actually does have a bit of a soft side, even though he is becoming the villain of the season, but as we've known, you can be the villain of a season and still be pretty likable, or have a nice human side. I mean, I don't have to do the list, do I? Yeah. So, Kev, Natalie, and Baylor finding the idol, them finding the idol wasn't really what surprised me, because I was pretty sure they'd find it. What does surprise me is how easily Natalie is, still talking to Baylor, because she really seemed to be able to figure out that it was, John, Jacqueline, Missy Baylor, and Reed that voted Jeremy out of the last tribal, and yet this episode she was still talking to 4 out of the 5. Well, actually she was talking to all 5, just Reed was manipulating both sides, yeah. It's odd that they're suddenly back on such good terms because she was like, "What the beep, Missy?" Yeah, just that's one cross conversation that we didn't totally get. It could be that we learn more when they go. I don't know. There's a possibility we'll forget it, especially since there's apparently 2 episodes next week. Interesting. Okay. Kind of lost my train of thought. What happened next? Well, at that point in the episode, that was when I noticed that Reed appeared to be finally doing his own game and getting a nice edit, and I was pretty interested in how he seemed to suddenly be in everyone's good books, despite the fact he was close to Josh, you know? Interesting. And I thought there was one comment that I wanted to make about the alliances or something. Forgot it. It doesn't totally matter. That immunity challenge, I just love the dynamic. I love those temptation challenges, and I like how they changed it up so it wasn't the whole arm above the head and have the bucket, even though that's now, I think, one of the classics, and I do like that challenge. It doesn't really matter. I was kind of annoyed when John jumped off, but I was actually fine when Wes jumped off because, you know, he's been to exile. But it seems like a lot of people out there feel the exact opposite. They feel like John was fine because he should have been comfortable, even though he kind of wasn't. And then Wes, well, I don't know, just... It's odd that I felt the exact opposite. Oh, and not showing what he did on Exile, well, now that only one person goes to Exile, and the idol on Exile and at both camps has been found, Exile serves no purpose unless the remaining idol in this game gets played and they re-hide another idol. Okay? So it does make sense. Yeah, Exile Island now only works if there's an idol hidden there or if there's 2 people on there, but given how much time Survivor has lost in the amount of, you know, commercial versus runtime of the show, it doesn't totally work anymore. Yeah. So Reed winning, honestly, I didn't really have much of a comment there, because I got the idea that he probably wasn't going to go. So then, Reed orchestrates the plan to get John out, which is the smart thing to do. But then everyone else is, you know, working to get either Wes or Keith out, which is also the smart thing to do because they supposedly do have enough votes. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to talk about. Natalie's comment referring to, I want to get one of the boys out of that blindside John. I wonder if she's going to stick to that, especially now, because it turns out Reed's not on their side. But then again, she did say that she wanted to get rid of Reed next, so... Well, as long as most of the boys go, and then either Josh or Reed go, I think she'll be okay. But, interesting what she's going to do in that area. And then that tribal, yeah, that was one intense tribal. And I totally got the idea that they were editing it so that either John or Keith was going to go. And I totally did not expect the idol situation to be played, although I love how Natalie was able to pick up enough and she's like, play your idol. And yeah, and then Keith just, stick to the plan. Dude, you just totally blew it, yeah. I was right. I predicted like week 2 that his head was not in the game. Although I was wrong about him, like with most people, expecting him to get voted out with the idol. But, I don't know, what happened is kind of the same thing, given his situation. So yeah, I didn't expect any idols to get played because the music ended before John goes, you know what? I am way too nervous. So yeah. He played it, and then Keith surprisingly plays it for himself also. And then it turns out that actually no one flipped. Amazing. Although I really wish that somebody had switched the vote from Wes to Keith, because then everyone would be a total mystery about who was going to be voted out. Yeah. But yeah, that was one heck of a good tribal. And then sure, it's a minor character that goes out of nowhere, but yeah, it's going to be mighty interesting to see what happens in these next 2 episodes, because given how they're going to go from 8 people to 6 at the end of the second episode. Ooh, boy, yeah. So as to what happens next week, well, Reed's in a fight to stay alive, but it turns out John and Jacqueline have a tad bit of a fallout. Now, it's natural to have arguments out there, even with people you're close to. But, anxious to see what goes on in that area. And who knows, John could actually find himself in the hot seat, because so far, everyone that has emerged as a fairly good strategic player has gone in this merge. Or you could just argue it seems like everyone who was on New Hanapu is going, because so far they're the only ones that have been going, so, let's find out, guys.